an ownership change in 2002, and that sort of blend of those two terms was the sort of old traditional way of, by hand, pen and paper, Excel sheets, that kind of thing. Then kind of moved to Accubid, which is a sort of a competitive software. It has some components that are, breaching that new innovative space, but it did feel still like the old school way, just digital. We've done this a few times. We've run businesses together where technology is our friend. The challenge is when to adopt. And so our motto is early and often. And so it's really looking at how can we leverage technology. And so with AI and some of these tools coming out, we wanted to be at the forefront of that. And so upon our journey and looking in my research, we came across PataBid, which sort of not only just bridged the gap between, okay, hey, we can count differently, the entire estimation process can be done differently as well. The important thing that I recognized with PetaBid was, in my view, is I think they had that nice compromise between the two. Where are we right now and what can we use right now and that's more effective and more efficient? And then what's the future and where could we take this and where could we go? So that's kind of where I resonated with that, in the sense that I do like that. There's going to be new, but the new now, what is that? You do listen to your end user clients, which not all softwares do. That's very important to me, which is kind of where the partnership started with Melvin, actually, is just that he was willing to listen. He was willing to understand that the solution, it has to be customer facing, not what kind of cool technology do we have and how can we sell it. Changing the estimator's job from an actual estimator to more of an agent, where as opposed to them physically doing that grunt work and using that mental capacity to count and document and all that sort of stuff, now that brain power that they're using can be used to review. Here's what the software outputted and here's what it quantified. And now I'm the agent to understand that, yes, this is correct. We can proceed, or, oh, we just need to make that a little adjustment, things like that. So for me, just individual to the estimator, I feel like bandwidth has increased, or capacity has increased, because now their hard-earned efforts are pivoted to something a lot more functional and expansive that way. It's changed our estimation bandwidth now on a team sense, where those individuals can do 2 or 3 jobs at once by getting the bombs out and then going back and focusing on review or multitasking, I guess, in a way, between more projects, because they were able to just bounce and pivot and let the software do some of that heavy lifting, and they're not exhausted and things like that. The other thing is the background connectivity between our suppliers, where I could just do a takeoff and get real-time pricing. That's my pricing, not generic pricing, not going to the website and just getting sort of off-the-shelf pricing. This is my actual agreement with that supplier's actual pricing, as if I called them real time by just the click of a button. So I'm now expanding this, estimation topic to production. Not all projects get bid and PO'd and then constructed that way. Things change real time, on site, addendums, clients make changes, all kinds of stuff. Well, we can now go back and rework that estimate and expand on it and actually do our CCN takeoff, building off of what we already did from an original takeoff, as opposed to in a silo. So, again, we're now not only influencing estimation, we're influencing production as well down the line after the estimation's already been closed and it's almost forgotten. We can do analysis and compare those projects at a high level, both the front end and the back end, and has evolved over this past year, where we've been able to move more and more quickly just by being more efficient. Lack of a better term, shout at the rooftops, and have shared with many of my colleagues and things like that. Selfishly, I don't want to share too much because, I want to be the only guy in town using it and have the cutting edge. Just back to reiterating in that collaboration between your softwares. A lot of times you just buy that software and that's how it works. Use Word, use Microsoft, use those tools as they come. It's been a really cool experience to get that end user experience back to the software, and for them to go, yeah, we agree. Let's pivot. Let's make that change. Let's update. So start where the tender, process starts, and then there's the end where the close happens and everything in between. So, it's been really helpful and really encouraging to be able to use a tool that has thought of that gamut of how an estimator uses software versus, okay, how can AI help attack this one thing?